Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you could please take your seats, the program is about to begin. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to Carver. If everybody could please take their seats, we are about to begin the program. Please take your seats.
So there was a hush in the room. But good morning, everyone. I am Sonia Santelises, Chief Executive Officer of Baltimore City Public Schools. Proud to have you all here today. We are thrilled. We are thrilled to have so many illustrious guests with us this evening. Young people here at Carver, I want you to know that you are the reason everyone is here. So a big welcome. I want to thank Principal Somerville and her team for the way that they have hosted us. And I want to say a special welcome to Senator Van Hollen, Governor Moore, Governor Moore, Secretary Julie Sue, and Senior Advisor to the President of the United States, Mitch Landrieu. So I want to really say a big thank you to the Biden administration. The Workforce Hubs initiative will really not only directly benefit Baltimore City, but Baltimore City Public Schools. The funding to support construction careers and technical education is being felt immediately. And I want you to know, I was having a discussion with Justin this morning. Justin, wave your hand. I was talking to Justin this morning, and one of the things that Justin so openly shared with me, he said, ma'am, I want you to know that sometimes when you're sitting in class and all you have are the pen and the paper and you're sitting trying to listen, it's the experiences like this, the experiences in Carver House that make me want to come to school. It's knowing that what I'm learning I can apply directly to a trade and a job. And I just want, I want everybody to know that it is also the leadership in our state that is making this possible, and I want to be able to introduce, I'm running to another meeting, but I needed to be here to introduce one of the best friends that Baltimore City has, who is also one of the best friends that Maryland has, and our governor, Governor Wes Moore, is committed to young people and committed to Baltimore, so it is my pleasure, without further ado, to introduce the governor of the state of Maryland, Wes Moore.
What's going on, Baltimore? It's good being back. It's good being back at Carver. And first, can we please give it up for our remarkable school chief, Dr. Santelises, who I got to tell you, is not only brilliant, but I'm honored to also call a friend. And for all of our students and all of our schools and our entire school system, we are honored to call you our leader. Dr. Santelises, bless you and thank you so much for all you continue to do. Thank you. And I tell you, it is good being back at Carver. Our pride and joy. And I tell you, for all of the students, you have no idea how proud you make us every single day. Because you all are not just the ones that we are fighting for. You're the ones that we're looking to. For the hope, for the inspiration, for the build. And we are grateful to be back and for our leader here at Carver for everything you're doing to make this state and make this city so, so strong. God bless you, Principal Summerlin. Thank you so much. And it's beautiful because what this continues to remind us how we move, right? We move in partnership. We move together. And I say that from the bottom of my heart. And what I mean by partnership is this. It's a pledge that we're going to have each other's backs. It's a pledge that we will fight for each other even when the chips are down. It's the pledge that none of us have to carry the load individually because we will all carry it together. Even if that load is not yours alone, just know that you've got a whole lot of shoulders that are willing to help you and carry it. And that's the kind of partnership that's going to bring us to a better future. And when we talk about partnership, I'm grateful for the partners that we have that I work with every single day, and I want to acknowledge two of our secretaries, Secretary Portia Wu and Secretary Paul Wiedefeld. Thank you for all you do and for your continued leadership every single day. But I'm also thankful for the partners that we have down in Washington, because we have the greatest partners that any governor could ever ask for. And I'm thrilled to be with two of them today. My dear friend, Senior Advisor to the President, Mitch Landrieu, for all you continue to do for Maryland and all you've done for me personally. Bless you and thank you. And also to our friend with a plan, Secretary Sue, we are so glad to welcome you to Carver and thank you for your leadership and your vision, everything you do to push us forward. So thank you so much, our Labor Secretary. And it's because of this type of partnership that we're seeing with higher education. It's good to see you, Mr. President. With our partnership that we're seeing with our building trades, partnership we're seeing with local nonprofits, partnership that we're seeing with the private sector, partnership we're seeing with Amtrak, that we are now saying that Maryland's on the move, y'all. Literally and figuratively. And the whole country is paying attention. The whole country is paying attention to the fact that right now in Maryland, we have the lowest unemployment rate in the entire country right now in the state of Maryland. that just in these past 10 months, we have jumped 20 slots in economic momentum, meaning Maryland is one of the fastest growing economic states in the entire country in just 10 months that we've been here. That we are now moving in a way that's actually focusing on partnerships, and that means investing. Investing in things like the Frederick Douglass Tunnel, investing in things like the Port of Baltimore, investing in broadband and Wi-Fi, and investing in mass transit, and yes, that includes the Red Line right here in Baltimore. But the thing that we know is this: everything that I've just mentioned, none of it would be possible if it were not for our partners in the Biden administration. Every level of momentum that we have seen, every push that we have had, let's be clear, the push is permanent because we move in partnership. The push is meaningful because we're pushing together. And our partners down in the Biden administration, they have been very clear that they see us, they're working with us, and we are grateful because the momentum that we are seeing, it's happening together. And where it's also happening together is the fact that I, as the governor, could not ask for a better congressional delegation, and we have a leader in our Congress and we have a leader in the Senate who is absolutely nonstop. I see Senator Van Hollen probably feels like once a day. The man does not stop. And he does not stop fighting for the people of this state. Senator Van Hollen, bless you and thank you for all you're doing for all of us. And you know what partnership also means? It means moving in sync with our unions. It means letting labor know that we have got their back. And I want to be very clear. I come from a union family. I want to be very clear. I would not be the 63rd governor of this state had it not been for unions who have always had my back and had my family's back. And I want to say to all of our union leaders, you have always had my back and I will always have yours. We are going to be Maryland strong because we are going to be union strong. Unions built Baltimore. Unions built Maryland. And we are going to honor that legacy in everything that we do. And that doesn't just mean creating new jobs. It also means creating good-paying union jobs with high labor standards. And so as many of you know, just months ago, the Biden administration announced that Baltimore is now one of 5 workforce hubs in the entire nation. And this designation is going to ensure that we have a diverse and a skilled workforce that can meet the demand for labor driven by new federal investments. We're grateful for that support. It means the world to us to have that level of recognition, and I will say to the Biden administration and to you both, we're not going to let you down. Partnership matters, but partnership is also a two-way street, and we're going to hold up our end of that bargain on the Maryland side. And so today, I am announcing that the state of Maryland will work with the Biden administration to ensure that federal projects in Baltimore operate under the highest possible labor standards. And this commitment includes the fact that the Maryland Department of Transportation, led by Secretary Wiedefeld, is committed to project labor agreements for a number of the strategic projects across the entire agency portfolio. This is what partnership looks like, guys. This is what progress looks like. And as more federal money comes in, we're going to make sure that these new projects are built with union hands and get completed on time and on budget. We're ready to partner. We're ready to make sure that all of our citizens have the skills to need to go complete these projects that are coming on board. And we know the work in front of us is not going to be simple. We know it's not going to be easy. But in the words of that gentleman, the namesake of this school, George Washington Carver, there is no shortcut to achievement. Now is the time that we are going to rally together across unions, across employers, across the private sector, across our community colleges, across our HBCUs, across leaders all throughout the local, state, and federal levels, because together we are going to get that work done, and we'll get it done together. We choose to move in partnership. And that's why in Maryland, we're choosing to win. And we're going to keep on winning. And so with that, I am proud to turn the microphone over to my friend and partner inside this work, Senator Chris Van Hollen.
Well, thank you, Governor, and let me just say how proud you make the state of Maryland every day. I was with our governor on Veterans Day. Great to have somebody who was part of the 82nd Airborne Division. Just a few days before, I was with the governor, where together Team Maryland announced that the FBI headquarters would be coming to the state of Maryland. And as Governor Moore said, this is Maryland's time, and I know with his leadership, he will deliver. So thank you to you and your entire team assembled here. Wonderful to be here at Carver. Go Bears. President Somerville, thank you for your leadership. It was great to see everybody here in action, your students, the apprenticeship program. Good to go to the building across the street, which is one of the construction sites to help people learn all the skills that they need. To Dr. Santalese, I don't know if she's still here, but I want to thank her for all her stewardship as superintendent of schools here in Baltimore City. Let me just also quickly acknowledge the other partners who are here. The governor mentioned many of them, but I think it's a reflection of how, in order to move forward, we need to move forward as a team, as Team Maryland. We have one of our great employers in the Northeast Corridor and in Maryland, Amtrak. Steve Gardner, thank you and your team for being here. And to all the men and women who make the trains go, thank all of you. Nick Cummings, you're going to hear from a little later, graduate Carver program here. Thank you and the building trades and all the men and women in labor who, as the governor said, help build Maryland, help build America, help build the middle class. And this is going to be an effort to make sure that we continue, after too much time off, actually, from really ensuring that men and women are labor involved in all of these decisions and all these projects to move forward. So thank you, Nick, and all the folks from labor who are here today. Let's give them a big round of applause. And it's great to be here with our federal partners from the executive branch. Secretary Sue, thank you. Thank you for all your leadership. And to a former mayor, if you want to pick a mayor to be the czar of putting in place the construction and all the projects that came under the infrastructure modernization bill, you would pick Mitch Landrieu. Mitch, good to be with you. Thank you both for all your efforts at the federal level. And if you haven't heard about it before, you haven't been paying attention, because there are historic federal investments coming to Maryland. There's another $376 million in WIFIA grants coming to Baltimore City water infrastructure. There's the $7 billion that are coming to Maryland automatically over the next 5 years from the infrastructure modernization bill. On top of that, there are all sorts of competitive grants, and Maryland is doing well, as is the city. Mondawmin Mall Station is going to be the beneficiary of $20 million in raise grants under the umbrella of the infrastructure modernization bill. And on top of all that, we had the very important announcement last week from the President of the United States about $4.2 billion in federal funds coming for the B&P Old Tunnel to fix it up after 150 years, and we'll have the Frederick Douglass Tunnel. That is a huge investment, and it's going to be matched 20% by the state and by Amtrak. These are huge, historic investments. But we're here today because we know that when we're making those kind of investments in our infrastructure, we need a skilled workforce to accompany that. Because if you make the investments, but you don't have the skills to turn those investments into reality, then you really haven't gotten that far yet. I see the President of Coppin here. Always good to work with you and your team in making sure that happens in West Baltimore. We need to do that in Baltimore. We need to do that in the state, and Governor Moore and his team are doing that. And that's what today is all about. That's what designating Baltimore City as one of just 5 hubs, workforce hubs in the country was all about, was to make sure that when all those federal funds and other funds come to help build infrastructure here, that we're ready to go. And today is a historic moment because we now see, as the governor announced, those relationships being mapped out. Because we don't only need to have a workforce, we need to have a workforce that has the best skills. We need to make sure that we develop everybody's skills. We need to make sure that people of Baltimore benefit when we're making these investments. And thank you all for the arrangements on local hire for things like the Frederick Douglass Tunnel. Thank you to the state for putting in place these project labor agreements with many of the federal funds and other funds. One of the things President Biden did early on when it came to the funds for federal projects, like when we build an FBI building, is to make sure that they are governed by project labor agreements. We also want to make sure that the federal funds that went to the state and the city, that we work with our partners like the governor to make sure that those funds also are governed by agreements that put men and women to work in good paying jobs, and that means in good paying union jobs with the apprenticeships that we're talking about. Because a union job is a job that will build skills for a career. Apprenticeships will help people with a lifelong set of skills that they can put to work. We also need to knock down the barriers to work for so many people who have been left out of the workforce. That means money for transportation, to get people to and from work so that they can earn a paycheck, so then they can ultimately pay their own way, but they need a little bit of help getting to and from work. It means knocking down barriers like the cost of childcare, because if you spend more on childcare than you're getting in your paycheck, that's not a good bargain. So all of these things come together under the banner of knocking down barriers to work, making sure people get into good paying jobs, a pipeline through apprenticeship programs and union work. And as we move forward and we see future federal investments with the state's help, like the Red Line, Governor, thank you for your commitment to the Red Line here in Baltimore, and we're working to make sure that we end the wrongs of the highway to nowhere in West Baltimore. We're on the move in terms of reuniting those communities. We're going to make sure we follow the same models. I will close with this, because it's not simply about making sure our infrastructure is modernized for the 21st century. We've got to do that. We've got to do that here at home. We need to do that to compete around the world. But it's really about building an inclusive economy with more shared prosperity. And that is what President Biden has been all about, making sure that we leave no American behind when it comes to that upward mobility, to building the middle class. And that is why this announcement today is so important, because we're talking about taking the infrastructure investments, but matching them with a plan to make sure that we can lift everybody out. We reach out and lift everybody up, because everybody in America who wants to work should have a good paying job. And this is the ultimate goal of building a country with more shared prosperity. So thank you all who are part of this. Governor, it's great to work with you and your team. To our federal partners in the executive branch, thank all of you. To everybody in the education community, and to our friends, the men and women in labor, thank you all. God bless you. This is what teamwork looks like, and you go forward with teamwork. Thank you all so much.
I tell you, I have to follow the governor and Chris. It's going to be a little tough, but we're going to make it happen. Good morning. My name is Nicholas Cummings, and I'm proud to stand before you today as a father with a son in the trade. As a Baltimore City native, and also as the Director of Training and Workforce Development for the Baltimore, D.C. Metro Building Trades Council. And I'd like to thank everyone for being here today as we shine light on some excellent, meaningful developments that's taking place here in Baltimore City. Friends, we're witnessing a renaissance of opportunity. Opportunities for our working families not only to survive, but to thrive. Today, we are pointing to pathways to proven apprenticeships, training, and valuable careers. Again, opportunities linked to family-sustaining wages. As I look back on my own journey, it's impossible to share my story without discussing the building trades unions and the role of the union apprenticeship programs. See, many moons ago, when I attended Carver, I remember walking these hallways. And I remember hearing my teacher, Mr. Christmas, say, "Cummings, you have a great head on your shoulders, but whatever you do not become a plumber." I hear you, Gerald. But I can tell you, as a father, we all know too well that young people always do the very thing what they're told not to do. So 3 years after graduation, guess what I was doing? Working as a plumber. And I worked for a small contractor, making $7 an hour. And I remember one day talking to one of my coworkers who had less responsibilities than myself, and he was bragging about making $10 an hour. And I said to myself, this has to be a mistake. So I went straight to the company owner. I was an intelligent person, hard worker, of course, because I graduated from Carver Tech, right? So I figured a pay raise would be a no-brainer, but boy, was I wrong. The company owner explained to me the other guy made more money than me because he knew where to find all the plumbing fittings in the shop. That made no sense to me. So I did what any other young person would have did in that situation. I quit. But I couldn't rest. I had a child. I had things to take care of. How was I going to pay my bills and support my family? And I'll tell you, that night, while listening to 92Q, laying in the bed, the answer came, and it was the plumbers and steam fitters. And to be honest, I'll tell you, I didn't know what a steam fitter was, but I knew plumbing. And the very next day, I was so excited to go to their training facility to submit my application. And as I was walking out the door, the office manager, Miss Nancy, she said, "Would you like to be a tool material handler? The job pays $7 an hour." Here we go, $7 an hour again. "The job pays $7 an hour, and you'll be able to work this job while your application is being processed." I was determined to make this opportunity to something real for myself, for my family. And 24 years later, I'm proud to say that I've been a tool material handler. I've been an apprentice. I've been a journey person who still holds a master plumbing license. I've been a supervisor, a recruiter, a business agent, and I even held the highest position in Local 486, the role as business manager. So what's next? Now we are enjoying policy changes, including strong project labor agreements to help promote pathways to proven apprenticeship training. Real opportunities. Opportunities for growth. Opportunities for employment for generations to come. Oprah Winfrey once said, "If you can imagine it, you can create it." And that really hit home for me. Growing up as a young man in West Baltimore, I imagined big things. I knew that building a big life requires a village. And you know what else requires a village? Raising a child. So while our technologies have evolved and our once booming industry is non-existing, opportunities in Baltimore City still exist. Opportunities to earn a great wage, opportunities to receive paid health care, opportunities to move into the middle class. And opportunities don't stop there. The Baltimore Workforce Hub will support good construction careers and for Baltimore City residents. And these workers will write their own story. And after successfully completing their apprenticeship program of their choice, if they like, they'll have the opportunity to become a contractor, to own their own business. And once again, we will see the residents of Charm City succeed once again. With our partners, we'll be part of that village for Baltimore City, revitalizing our infrastructure and empowering our people to thrive where they live. I'm talking about opportunities in electrical, plumbing, carpentry, HVACR, heavy equipment, laborers, and much more. Thanks to our village, thanks to the people in this room for bringing these opportunities to our community. I look at Stokes Mechanical, a minority contractor who's from Baltimore City, who has done work in this building that we stand in. Just like myself, he had a vision, and that vision became reality. Our children, our students, can achieve anything they set their mind to. And the union construction industry is ready to help bring these visions of the young men and women to fruition. Finally, I can tell you it's an honor to introduce Acting Secretary Sue, who will speak next. And I would like to thank you for all of the help that you have done for us, and thank you for your leadership in this matter. Thank you.
Well, good morning, Baltimore. Okay, so we're now at that point in the program where, because there's such alignment between everybody, you've pretty much heard everything. So I'm just going to preface this actually by saying my own thanks. Thank you to you, Nick. Thank you to all of the Baltimore, D.C. building trades for being partners in this, for taking this moment in which we are building, with the most pro-worker, pro-union president in history, an economy that really centers working people and union jobs. And I want to really acknowledge the young people who showed us around today, who were so not just skilled, but so proud of what you all are doing here. One of the things that this president knows and that I know is that a good job is not just about a life. It's not just about building a strong economy. It's really about building a strong democracy. And you all, as engaged as you are, as excited you are about the future, you are the reason we all do what we do. And so I just wanted to thank you and acknowledge you and say that I look forward to seeing not just what you're going to build physically in your community, but what you're going to build across this country through your engagement and through your hope and through and through your contributions. I also want to say to Governor Westmore, who is just such a bold, fearless, and history-making leader. It's phenomenal to be here in your state and to be your partner in this work. And to Senator Van Hollen as well for your commitment to combating inequality. I just think the partnership that with both of you is transforming what is possible in Maryland, and that's why it's such an example for us of what could be possible across the country. And I want to acknowledge my friend Portia Wu, who is, I know, your state labor secretary, who I've known for a very long time. And yes, thank you, Portia. On behalf of Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg, who could not be here today, we are really grateful to be here in Baltimore with all of you. The U.S. Department of Transportation is the Biden-Harris administration's lead in the Baltimore Workforce Hub. And I just want to acknowledge the entire DOT team for their work, especially Paige Shevlin, who has been tireless and committed. And so much of what we talk about, Paige, is because of the work that you're doing here on the ground. So thank you for all of that. And to the Baltimore Workforce Funders Collaborative, to the Mayor's Office of Employment Development, and so many more. As has already been said, it is partnerships that's making all of this work possible and allowing us to deliver. President Biden is investing in America and in all of America's workers. And here in Baltimore, that means historic investments in infrastructure. So unlike the promise of an infrastructure week that never materialized, President Biden has actually kicked off an infrastructure decade. And through the President's Investing in America agenda, as has already been said, the Biden-Harris administration is investing $4.9 billion across the state of Maryland. And that is to upgrade transportation, it's to deliver clean and reliable energy, it's to make sure that there's clean drinking water flowing out of every single faucet, and high-speed, reliable, affordable internet in every single home. And this isn't just an opportunity to build new infrastructure, it's an opportunity to create good union jobs in every single community, right here in Maryland for local residents. And a key part to all of this is investing in our workforce system. So I think of our workforce system as infrastructure too. It's the roads and bridges and on-ramps that connect people to the good jobs they want and need, and employers to the people that they want and need. But just like our physical infrastructure, our workforce infrastructure has its challenges. Our workforce system has some cracks. It's got some potholes. It doesn't connect to every community the way that it should. And for too long, far too many people have not been connected to good jobs that are being created. Not this time. We need our workforce system to be as strong as our physical roads and bridges, and that's exactly what we are doing, making sure that it's reaching all of our communities. That's how we unleash the talents and skills of the young people here at Carver and the young people across our country. And that's the vision behind President Biden's workforce hubs. 5 cities across the country chosen for the deep partnership between state leaders, local government, and the federal government, and partners on the ground. And the idea behind the workforce hubs is simple but profound. Center people who have been left out or left behind in the past. These hubs require strong leaders like our governor, Governor Moore, and Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott. And last week, as the governor already announced, President Biden talked about an investment of $4.7 billion to build the Frederick Douglass Tunnel. Amtrak is going to invest a minimum of $5 million of funding from the bipartisan infrastructure law to recruit and train workers to fill the many jobs that are needed to build that tunnel. And in addition, the Department of Labor's funding is going to supplement this funding through a grant to the Maryland Department of Labor. And this is how the Departments of Labor and Transportation on the federal level are aligning federal funding to maximize impact right here in Baltimore. That tunnel is also so aptly named. Frederick Douglass escaped enslavement by boarding a train from Baltimore to Wilmington, Delaware. And then he spent his life fighting for the rights of African Americans and women. So today, we honor that fight. This workforce hub is going to focus on recruiting and training that's going to ensure that African Americans and women have equal access to the good union jobs being created, so that we tap into the full talent and potential right here in Baltimore and all across Maryland. So specifically, the funding is going to focus on connecting individuals from local zip codes with good union jobs, so people can build the community that they live in. It's also going to invest in workforce infrastructure that provides childcare and transportation. The senator already talked about these things, but people have to be able to get to and from training, and they have to be able to get to and from good jobs. It's also going to support career and technical education in Baltimore City public schools, recognizing that many of these good jobs do not require a college degree. And if we do things right, we're going to create on-ramps for young people to these good union jobs through things, as you've already heard, like apprenticeships. And this is a good reminder because today we're also kicking off National Apprenticeship Week. And registered apprenticeships are proven programs where training is tied to the skills that are needed for in-demand jobs, and participants actually earn while they learn. So in the workforce infrastructure, apprenticeships are superhighways. Now, the state of Maryland and the state of Baltimore are also expanding union jobs and access to those jobs to Baltimore residents through at least 15 project labor agreements, covering over $9 billion in investments and over 11,000 jobs. That's how we build the high road to the middle class. That's how we make sure that good union jobs are the future of America's economy. And project labor agreements, as you've already heard, ensure timely delivery of projects under budget oftentimes, and provide employers a reliable pool of skilled workers. So as I travel the country, I get to see how this work is changing lives. Workers are gaining a voice on the job, a voice at the table. Unions are demanding and winning like never before, and we are using these opportunities to build up communities like this one right here. Workers are getting the security that only comes from a good union job, from good pay, good benefits, and families are getting what the president says every family should have, which is a little bit of breathing room. And none of this is possible without strong partnerships. Partnerships between all levels of government, partnerships that include unions front and center at the table, and partnerships with forward-thinking employers who know that the best investments that they can make are investments in their workers. So, good jobs change lives, they bring dignity and respect, they sustain families, they strengthen communities, and they strengthen our democracy. And that's what we're building here in Baltimore, and the Biden-Harris administration has got your back. So, with that, I'm going to turn the microphone over to a good friend and a phenomenal leader in the Biden administration, Mitch Landrieu, who was named Public Official of the Year and America's top turnaround mayor when he was mayor of New Orleans. His pragmatic approach to problem solving and his ability to deliver are only a few of the reasons why the president chose him as a senior advisor and infrastructure coordinator as we deliver on these historic investments that we're making. And it's been my pleasure to work closely with Mitch and to present him to you all now, Mitch Landrieu, who's fighting for all of America and all of America's workers.
Oh my goodness. I think I'm the only thing in between you and a halfway decent day. I know y'all have heard a lot. Madam Secretary, thank you so much for that gracious introduction, and thank you for your leadership on behalf of the people, on behalf of the American public. Also, on behalf of Secretary Buttigieg, who could not be here, his team has just been unbelievable. Governor, it's great to see you again. I am continue to be amazed and mesmerized by the work that you do, the team that you put together, and of course, the willingness to be bold and courageous and to just run to the fire. It's critically important, and we have so much more to do together. Thank you for that beautiful talk. You really made me think about myself and the community that I come from. Chris, thank you for your incredible leadership on behalf of the legislative branch of government. I'm from the city of New Orleans. Before I walked into Carver just a little minute ago, I was walking down the neighborhood and walking around the neighborhood, and I could see myself playing in the street because my neighborhood looks very similar to the one right next to this particular school, and there's a George Washington Carver on Barone Street in New Orleans. And I have always, when I was the mayor of the city of New Orleans, been attached to the city of Baltimore emotionally and spiritually. I went to Catholic University of America. I knew folks that used to be the mayor of the city a long, long time ago. I could call them out to you. And because New Orleans and Washington are cities that really share a soul, and they share a purpose and they share a commitment. I was reminded when I was listening to the governor talk of a tour I took across the lower 13 southern states, and I was in Kentucky, and I was in a high school very much like this one, sitting in a room with a number of students. Then there were rising seniors. And a young lady who was a junior said, Mayor, out here, she said, you know, talent is equally distributed, but opportunity is not. And I remember that still to this day, because that is, at the end of the day, not only our ambition, but our mission. And so I am thrilled to represent a man who has a great heart, has a great mind, and who not only talks the talk, but walks the walk and brings the receipts. So I'm not going to go back through all the things the Secretary talked about in detail about what's happening here, or the conversations that the other speakers had, but I would like to bring you in to communion on this mission that we all share to make America, person by person, brick by brick, strong again, not only for each individual person and our family, but for our economic security and our national security. And the person who understands that better than anybody that I've seen in my life is Joseph Biden, the President of the United States. He ran for office for a couple of simple reasons. It's not that hard, it's not that complicated, which is why, you know, I tell people I can understand it for you, but I can't explain it to you. He said, I'm going to help restore the soul of America. We've gotten out of the way with each other. We have to find a way to get back together, find common ground, and remember who we are as Americans, which essentially means that we all come to the table of democracy as equals. And we share burdens, we share responsibilities, but we also share hope and opportunity and carry that heavy burden to lay down tracks for people that come behind us, to build bridges that folks can cross. When we do that, we can unite America, which is the second goal that he set for us. And he said the way that we're going to do that is we're going to give ourselves some homework, and we're going to invest in people, and we're going to invest in things, because infrastructure literally is the bedrock upon which all else rests. Our economic security rests on that. Our national security rests on our economic security. The stronger we are, person by person, in the United States of America, the better we're going to be at controlling not only what happens on our homeland, but what happens overseas. And so all of you know this who have built great teams. The stronger we are, the better hope and opportunity we have, and we will be the masters of our own destiny. And the president understands that. People said that he couldn't win. You'll remember that now he took office in the midst of an active insurrection. He took office in the midst of 1 million of our brothers and sisters dying from COVID. Then we have these two awful wars that are going on as we speak, and he wrestled the economy back from the abyss. And the way he did that was to do something that everybody said he could not do, which was to put a bipartisan group of people together in Washington, D.C., that in some instances can't even choose a leader from one side and can't figure out whether they want to keep the government open. And they said it was hard because they only have a 6-person majority, but the fact of the matter is the president only had a 6-person majority when we passed the largest infrastructure bill in the history of the United States of America. And then they passed the CHIPS Act, then they passed the Inflation Reduction Act. When you put all of that together, that is the largest investment in people, in things that you have seen not just in your lifetime, but in the lifetime of the country. It mirrors. I think it is bigger than what FDR did. I think it's bigger than Eisenhower. I think it's bigger than rural electrification, which is to say that when people tell you that we cannot do big things when we come together, we have just put that lie to rest. Joe Biden has figured out how not only put America back to work again, but to unite us as a country and to make us strong. And the way he did that was to pass a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill to rebuild the roads, the bridges, the airports, the ports, the waterways, high-speed internet, so a little girl doesn't need to be sitting in the back of her mama's car outside of McDonald's stealing the internet to get her homework done that teachers in this school are giving them, so that she can grow up to be the doctor that helps us figure out why maternal mortality is so high amongst African-American women, or figure out how she's going to take us to Mars, or find the cures to Alzheimer's. That's why, because knowledge is the great equalizer, and this president and this vice president are going to level the playing field. Then they want to make sure that everybody has clean air and safe water, but because God forbid, in the United States of America, we have some people that are drinking dirty water out of lead pipes, messing up little kids' brains so they can't achieve the goals that God gave them. And then finally, we need to build a clean energy economy. And so the question gets to be, well, how are we doing? Well, let me give you some receipts. Because there are other people that have talked the talk, that have said things that are not true, and can't show any value for the work that they've done. And then there's a president of the United States who talked the talk, walked the walk, and can bring you receipts, chapter and verse about what this administration has done. And that's why I'm so excited to be here today, because all that roads and bridges and airports and ports and waterways may not mean anything to you unless I tell you that that money is coming into your neighborhood where you live. That's going to help lift young men and women up like the incredible human beings. And to the students, God bless you. Thank you so much. I get so much hope and I get so much joy from watching y'all. I'm looking at y'all and I'm feeling good about somebody's going to help me out when I get old. I can feel it coming, right? Because as the governor said, this is not just about giving you hope and opportunity. It's about laying on your shoulders the burden and the responsibility of making sure that America is going to be all right. And I think that y'all will join me in saying to these young men, I think we're in good hands. Are we not? So when I was a mayor of the city of New Orleans, I took over that city after Katrina, Rita, Ike, Gustav, the national recession, and the BP oil spill. I was in church, I was praying, Lord, when are the locusts coming? And I know a little bit about stopping the city from falling off the cliff. stabilizing it, turning it around, and getting it ready for its future. We had lost 1,800 people. 250,000 homes had gotten destroyed. Every building in the city was 17 feet underwater, and we had to put it back together again. And just like the situation that we're in right now, I could not have done it if I didn't have a good federal partner. And I'm going to tell you, I know it didn't work because we had 5 years of nothingness. But when I took over and we started to get it to work, let me tell you what worked. It worked when the federal government showed up with real money in real time, willing to work and willing to lean in. It worked when the president got along with the governor. It worked when the governor got along with the mayor. It worked when union labor was in the room, the not-for-profit sector, the faith-based community, and the young men and women. Everybody in. Opportunity and responsibility, all at the same time, pushing in the same direction. One team, one fight, one voice, one country. That's who we are. And it's not just about the dream of hope and possibility. You got to have the tools to make it happen. And there are rare occasions in America where there gets to be really good alignment. So when the president asked me to come help him do this, I was like, Mr. President, we got to have horizontal and vertical integration. He's like, Mitch, say that simple. And I was like, Mr. President, that means everybody pulling in the same direction all the time and doing what they need to do to get it done. Because he said to me, don't you try to do this without union labor, because the middle class built this country and union labor built the middle class, so that's where it's going to get done. Don't you try to do this without making sure that equity, all right, that means everybody in, everybody gets a chance, right? Don't you try to do this without thinking about climate and building it back stronger and better. Don't you think about doing this without using products that are made in America. And when you put all of that together, what that means is you're going to build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, because that's where real folk live. That's why he says, don't talk to me about trickle-down economics, giving a bunch of rich people everything and hoping that one day a little bit of morsel of food is going to fall down to the ground. Why don't we put our future in the hands of the young men and women from Carver, and let's see how they do. And so the president brought real money. I'm not going to go through all the projects right now, but let me tell you this. When we were looking around the country and we needed partners to be an example to the United States of America about how you build a workforce, because it's okay to get the money out there, but if it doesn't get to the ground and then you don't have people that are trained, then the job doesn't get done, and then the thing's overtime, over budget, right? That's not who we are. We are on time, on task, on budget team, right, Mayor? And everybody in here that's a contractor, I want you to hear that as well. And the only way you can do that is with a well-trained workforce, because that builds a good project. But here's the thing. It's not just about building a good project. It's about giving young men and women the tools they need to build generational wealth so they can have stability in their life and realize their God-given potential, because that is the way that America is always going to win, and never look over her shoulder. And so this president has delivered on that promise to the tune of billions of dollars, with the senator's help and the governor's help, to come down and get to the ground. And look, I'm just going to tell you about two of them that have been mentioned already, just to let you know that nobody's trying to fool anybody in this room. Your president of the United States, 2 weeks ago, or last week, went with Stephen, this young man right here. Stephen, raise your hand so they can see you. He runs Amtrak, laid down $16.4 billion to basically start retrofitting the Northeast Corridor from here all the way to Boston. And one of the primary projects is the Frederick Douglass Tunnel. Now, the president had come many months before with the governor to talk about this, but everybody was like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, you can believe it now, because last week he announced $4.7 billion that is slated to create 30,000 high-paying jobs that are going to be, in large measure, union jobs. And then, amen to that. And then last week you were chosen again to build the FBI headquarters, which when it's finished is going to help protect the country. But what it's going to do while you're building it is create generational wealth for the young men and women, many of whom I hope are trained here. And then you were chosen. You were chosen 3 times. Chosen, chosen, chosen. I want you to remember that word. Mayor, Governor, I want you to remember this. I want to put this burden on your shoulders, because I know you can carry it. You were chosen to be a workforce hub. Only 5 of them in the country. We had to pick places where we knew it could succeed. We had to put places where we thought there was a good team. We had to put places where pick places that had great leadership. We had to pick a place where people really understood that you needed the president, the governor, the mayor, and everybody else in here to make this happen, and Maryland was chosen. So I want you to think about that for a second, Maryland, because the country, this president, the people of America, all the young men and women that look like you guys, that live in the lower 9th Ward, that live in the 7th Ward in New Orleans, just like being on the west side here in Baltimore. Y'all understand what I'm saying to you, right? Taking all those houses over there, because people need to live in them, and learning the trades that are necessary to fix that, which is helping you, but it's also going to help somebody else. And when you finish, it's going to be net zero. You are defining for America what the future of the country looks like. And you are the perfect example of the president's vision when he says, when we do things together, there is nothing that we cannot do. And this president of the United States will tell you over and over and over again, when asked by Xi Jinping, who he's going to see in a couple days in San Francisco, can you please define America for me? Joe Biden says, yes, I can, in one word. And that word is possibility. And today should give you hope. Today should make you sing that the president's vision for the country, that sense of possibility, is not something in the faraway future. It's something that is with us right now as we speak, and you can see it in the eyes and the hearts of those young men and women standing over there. So, Governor, I'll leave it to you to get it done, because this needs a quarterback, and you happen to be it. And I have no doubt that when y'all finish this, y'all going to lap the whole country and show people how to do the thing that the Secretary says we desperately need to do to make sure that the talk we talk walks the way that we wanted it, make sure that people have the skills, make sure that people can build a generation of wealth, and make this country strong again so we never, ever, ever have to look over our shoulder and worry about when anybody's going to catch us. God bless you all. Governor, thank you so much.
There will be a brief press gaggle at room 329 across the hallway. Press gaggle at 329.